Welcome to You Mad Huh? A podcast conceived out of brotherhood and presented with love. So before we dive into our topics today, I want to introduce our panel members. I want to start off with Ken. Hey, Joe, how'd you do in the woman's 400-meter dash? Merit. We have Richard. Let me see if I can loan Elon $1 free. We have Anthony Blacksteel in the Hour of Chaos, Humphrey. We have Tyron, let me get something to sip on, Bond. We have Raymond, let me talk some sense into these mother suckers, Cooper. We have me, Paul Fleming, and I'm not even going to give mine a tagline this time. And then we have Jason, here comes the cavalry Stewart.
You need a tagline. You need a tagline. That's 2 weeks in a row. We get you
bring out the girls and let's have a mud fight. That's my tagline. So
there we go.
Let's see what this turns out to be. Wu-Tang.
Fitting. Right. Very fitting.
But we're going to touch on topics such as the Oval Office meeting with Elon Musk and Vladimir Zelensky. We'll definitely talk about these tariffs this week. We're going to dive back into DOGE and, exactly are they saving us anything? And then we may actually get into some sports a little bit later on. Okay. But let's start off with this week was Trump center stage. And the big thing was the Oval Office meeting with Vladimir Zelensky and the press, as well as J.D. Vance. And there was a little scuffle that took place. And I wanted to see how you guys felt about that. Kid, you've got a look on your face like you have something to say. So why don't you give us your thoughts first?
It was a shit show, right? And it was a staged shit show, I believe, right? I think that the president and the vice president set Zelensky up and kind of use with the full press corps in there, right? To just demonstrate their so-called strength and really beat up on a man who spent the last 3 years fighting for his sovereign country and his people. And so, in short, I won't even go on very long. I think it was a shit show, and I think it was fucking despicable.
Any rebuttal to that? I definitely agree, but any rebuttal?
I really thought that we were going to start this thing off with you guys acknowledging the death of the Democrat Party, but I digress. So I don't know if you watched the full 40 minutes before you came to your conclusion, Ken, but they were very judicial and they were kind to Zelensky. If you watch the full 40 minutes, you would see that throughout the early stages of this discussion, they let Zelensky say a whole lot of things. But the man has not taken into consideration the amount of money our country has given him and the unfortunate position that they have put us in assisting to a level that we've been warned that if we get involved any further, the possibility of World War III. So it behooves us to have leadership in there that takes a stand and says, no, we're not going to do it just for this. We're going to get some benefits from this. Rare earth minerals, a effort for peace. What blows me away the most about all of this is the left used to be known for being bleeding hearts that never wanted our boys and girls to go to war. Now we're clamoring at the opportunity to get knee deep in a situation that doesn't have to happen.
Bro, you sound like Trump. You sound just like him. You ran off 3 simple lies there, including one about going to war. What war are we gone to? How have we supported this and put people in any kind of harm's way other than sending things that they pay for.
Not even a suggestion of putting boots on the ground. There's never been a suggestion of putting boots on the ground. So now we're going to war. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that a leap?
That's a fallacy. Secondly, the money that has been given to Ukraine in support of their democratic effort, or to tell the lie of not showing gratitude, not thanking. I think there's been numerous accolades given to the United States where Zelensky has absolutely been appreciative of the support, not only from the government, but from the people who have supported the efforts in the country. And on the whole staged press conference, I've never heard of any type of negotiations or agreements coming to place with a full press corps in the Oval Office, which one should have been a red flag. And two, to have them sit there and belittle that man when he's in literal fight for his life, to try to get him to take a knee and kiss the ring or kiss their ass, it would just show the level of I don't even know the right word for this. It just shows a level of just inhumanity around what that man is going through and what his country is going through. And we're supposed to be a democratic country, and we're telling this man to surrender to a country that is being run by a dictator, in hopes of a peace effort, when the track record from Russia and Putin has not been to maintain the word that he says out of his mouth, puts on paper. So I think it was a shit show, as Ken already mentioned, and a false.
Hey! So check this out. You guys keep saying it was a poop show, yet 3 days later, the dude is coming back to negotiate for peace.
So, Rich, the man needs help, right?
It was not a bad negotiation process. They allowed the man to talk for multiple minutes. He kept doing whatever his points were with whoever his puppet master was. And then eventually they unleashed the hounds on him. And that's what we needed. If we'd have had that cackling woman in there while this was
First of all, don't even go there. Don't even go there.
Okay,
look, we need to keep this at a level.
For multiple more billions of dollars.
What cackling woman are you speaking of?
Hold on, fellas.
First of all, let's keep it under who the people that were there. Okay, we're not gonna go into that. We're not gonna get disrespectful on folks that wasn't in the room. Okay, the one in the room, you don't know what would have happened. What I do know is this: I've never seen a vice president talk to a world leader. You have two world leaders in there talking. I've never seen that. That's where the disrespect comes. I don't mind. Look, if it's him and Trump going at it, fine, talking. But if she, the cackling woman, or whoever, or any other vice president would have addressed another world leader in a meeting like that, you guys would have had a fit. For him to sit there, the disrespect came with him talking. You are the vice president. Sit your butt right there. You tell it was a dog and pony show. You're absolutely right. And not only did it go from there, you had the press conference, the press after that, talking about why he's not wearing the suit. But meanwhile, I can have the pseudo vice president, President Musk in there with a hat on, a little jacket,
with a hat and a chainsaw and a child.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because according to all of y'all, Trump ain't running the show. So why wasn't Musk in there?
That's the first time he wasn't there. That's the first time he wasn't there.
No, you can't have
it. I can't tell you that. He wasn't there because the stage was already set, and he thought it was going to go nice and clean. But when Zelensky said, look, again, it was good that we saw it like that, because if they do stuff behind closed doors, All we're going to hear someone say is, "Oh, everything was great," because anytime we can't witness something, it's the greatest thing ever.
So
he never does anything that's not great.
Believe in the history of negotiations between high-ranking people around the world are always nice?
Well, you're not going to have a vice president butt in when you have the two leaders there. It doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
So a couple of questions here about the whole thing. In 94, I believe it is, with Clinton, is when Ukraine agreed to give up their nuclear weapons, right? And the United States and Russia agreed to provide security, right, for them.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, right? So now we have Vladimir Putin, who is to quote Dave Chappelle, or maybe it was Rick James, he's a habitual line stepper, right? He keeps stepping and stepping and stepping, right? And now we're at the point where we're deciding that we're not going to help them when we actually have committed to helping them. So that's why I don't understand why there's even a question as to why we're helping them. I've seen a few people ask, why do we send them all this money? It's called the Budapest Memorandum, and we committed to help these people out.
I'm sorry, I don't get this argument. Like a sovereign, a dictator taking someone's land, whether it's Crimea or what he's doing now, isn't it bullshit either way?
It is.
Absolutely.
You guys are arguing. The reason why it's an argument is because you guys are arguing that we should be 10 toes down for this country in giving everything we got, even our young men and women, for war. You're okay.
No one said that.
That's inaccurate.
No one said that.
Words in our mouth. They got it. That's what he do.
So my interpretation of all of this is we committed 3 years ago to provide weapons so that they could fight fairly against Russia. Now, Trump has bullied them to cut off weapons, cut off U.S. aid. So essentially, he's trying to starve them out and die them out so that they can't fight against Russia. And Putin's his boy. He's never going to go against Putin.
Biden refused to give him his planes. Biden refused to give him planes when he wanted planes.
But he did refuse to give planes, but what he did give them was missile capability with 190 miles worth of capability to fight.
Okay, here's the fact.
We do not have.
Zelensky doesn't even know where half the money we've given him has gone. Fact, there are more.
That's not true.
Nightclubs and there are more restaurants in Ukraine now. That's where the money.
Nightclubs in Ukraine, and you're fighting a war. Come on,
you see the rugby.
They are sending mentally retarded kids to the front lines because Ukraine has no more people. You guys want these guys to keep fighting and fight. They don't have any more people.
They're snatching guys off the road. They're
not going to win this war.
Go ahead and give us your rebuttal, Jason.
Zelensky is a dictator. He doesn't allow elections. He shuts churches
down. He shut down elections.
Yes. And
it's
he doesn't
time. They don't have
half the money we've given them is gone.
Because you guys keep saying the same shit they keep saying, that we're giving them money. We're not giving them money. They are buying weaponry. Let's stop pretending like we're giving them a whole boatload of cash. We have obsolete weaponry that we are sending over there to help them fight a war.
And what
we're giving?
Hold on, Rich.
And how are they paying for this weaponry?
Let me clarify something though. Something. Jason said that they've received half the money. Zelensky said he's received about 100 million of the 175 billion that we're supposed to send them, right?
That's correct.
That the extra money hasn't gotten to them, but it has been earmarked. It just hasn't been dispersed. Donald Trump and his people will not provide security assurances. That is the sticking point. So you're going to tell me that a guy in Vladimir Putin, who is a habitual line stepper, is just going to say, okay, I won't do anything just because I got this little bit of land and Trump's got these mineral rights.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
France
He's
and
not that
Germany
type of
have
guy.
already
Can
said
I
they would
ask one question?
in the country.
Sure,
Okay.
go ahead, Ty. Go ahead,
I
Ty.
don't want to ask a question to Rich and Jason. Who invaded who? Did Russia invade Ukraine, or did Ukraine invade Russia?
Well, that's a disingenuous
No.
question.
That's the one.
Because
It's
you're
an
not
honest
taking
question.
into account what caused.
I don't need all that because again, who invaded who?
I can tell you what's getting ready to come out in all this.
Who invaded
Ukraine
who?
has bio labs.
Jason, we typically answer a question before we say anything else. So if you can answer the question
hold on,
first, and then we can move on to your point.
Nope.
Because you didn't
Hey,
ask that
look,
question.
I'll give you. He invaded.
I just asked the question.
Yeah,
you got to give me
You
an
didn't ask
answer.
the
I just want
question.
to answer.
I mean,
But you guys,
Of course he
it's
invaded. We all know
disingenuous.
that.
It's disingenuous.
No, We
of
don't
you
all know because
to
your
speak
Lord and
on
Savior
it,
Trump
to
said that
speak on it
that
as if
Ukraine
it
is.
wasn't
Hold on.
a
Hold on,
preemptive
Tom.
scenario. Go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead, Rich. Go ahead, Rich. Finish. Go ahead, finish. Go ahead and finish, Rich.
I was going to say, let's not act like this was not a precipitated scenario that caused them to want to go in there. I mean, like if Russia set up shop in Colorado and was like, "Oh yeah, we about to do what we gonna do here," then you're gonna get invaded by.
You are unbelievable.
No,
You are-
that's
you are
real.
sitting-
They're trying to protect
You're
you.
sitting here justifying someone basically, not basically, literally invading illegally someone else's territory and justify it by saying they were somehow provoked.
Yeah, they were.
Hey, you got to punch first to be provoked, but that's okay. I get it. I just want to. I'm glad you said that because someone in leadership
So
said that that Ukraine invaded Russia. So I
So
just
what
want to
happens-
get one of these lies checked real quick.
What happens when we
can
find
move
out
on.
these bio labs that the United States has helped produce in
Mhm.
Ukraine, bio labs that are producing COVID viruses and all these viruses that Soros and Fauci are helping fund, and that's
got to get on that distribution list.
it's
I've
coming
got
out.
to get on that distribution list.
Conspiracy
Those
theorist
points
is
are
this, Jason?
spot on.
Yeah. Whenever y'all getting y'all stuff from,
Ken,
please.
Ken,
Please, can
tag me
you
in.
just blind
Ukraine will
copy me.
never
Just
ever
blind copy
win
me.
this war.
Hey.
End it now and let everybody walk away with dignity and
Just blind copy me.
And peace.
yeah.
Jason,
When has peace ever been a
What does
bad
peace
thing?
look like?
because Jason, you said it 3 or 4 times now, right? That they can't win the war, right?
They can't. They will never win the war.
Especially if they don't get the aid they need. I don't think
It
Absolutely.
anybody.
doesn't matter. They don't have enough manpower. It doesn't matter. They're dead man walking.
Can I finish? But when it shouldn't it be their decision when they stop fighting? Who the fuck are we to tell them to give up their land when somebody else invaded it? Where did you get off? And how are you so high and mighty from where you sit right there and say, well, you can't win the war, just give it up? That's bullshit, man. They didn't take your land.
But Ken,
You
that
fight.
same
Hold on,
argument,
Rich.
that same argument can be.
Well,
Hold on, Rich.
let
Go
them-
ahead and finish.
if you want them to fight it out, it's over.
And when someone takes your property and then you sit there and when they take all your people, rape your women, do all the kind of stuff they want to do, and you can have one of us tell you to give it up, then you talk about what they should do. Because right now you're sitting over here in your flush American place while they are fighting every day for the sovereign freedom and democracy that they earn as a country. So that's bullshit what you're suggesting, my man. Like you sitting here talking about it, and it makes zero sense for you to proposition that they can't war and should just give it up.
Ken,
That's
first of all,
First,
they're not all that
we're
big
not
on
asking them to
freedom.
give it up. We're asking them, let's have peace.
Yes.
You get your country back.
Peace.
We'll buy the mineral rights, and you'll make a ton of money. Russia won't bother you anymore.
Peace is you go back to Russia and leave us
let's
alone.
just fight the motherfucker out and
No.
let them take the country over because they're done for. They're
not
done.
to
for.
No.
These platitudes about this being such a great democracy. He stopped elections in his country.
Yeah,
Why?
he's a
He
dictator.
stopped elections.
Why?
He is the definition of what you guys
Why?
keep calling
Why would
Trump.
they stop?
No, I got a
Rich,
question.
He is
Is
the definition of
in Russia, right?
Putin-
He shut down churches. He won't
Right.
allow certain denominations
Hold on.
to meet.
So So Hump, go ahead and chime in on that, man, on the elections.
I just asked Rich a question. Why did you shut that? Why weren't elections held?
Because he shut them down.
Why did
Because
he
he
shut them
doesn't
down?
want to be. He
Why would he
doesn't
shut
want to
down?
be
He
elected
didn't want to
out.
be challenged. He
Yeah.
wanted to win. He wanted to
Yeah.
stay in place.
So nothing factored into the fact that their infrastructure is so broken that there was no possible way that majority of their citizens could even place a vote. There's nothing in the place of the stability needed for continuity of them fighting the war that factored in. It was all about him wanting to maintain a dictatorship. Even though, wait a minute, let me finish. Even though the country had continuously been a democracy, because it sounds a little bit like this playbook has been revealed and leaked a little bit, and you guys kind of like it, and you're using it as a justification for what may happen someplace else in the world. So I'm just curious as to what reasons are on that distribution. Can you please give me a blind, just a blind copy? But what reasons have been given on that distribution that says why the elections didn't take place?
I just want to know. So Russia's had fair elections, right?
Right.
I just want to clarify. So Russia has had fair elections over the last 20 since Putin has been in, right? No challenger has been killed or nothing's happened to anybody over there. It's just been a straight up democracy over there, right? So he's not a dictator.
Russia's not a democracy.
No, I know it's not. That's my point.
We never said that they were a sovereign democracy. But with that comment, you do have me mad, huh? So check this out. When Kim was saying, how dare we tell them they can't fight, we can use that same argument of, how dare you expect us to keep giving you money when we see you losing? Yeah. Don't nobody keep throwing money into a money pit.
Rich, this war was supposed to be like a 3-day war.
Because we
hold on. And that's my point. If we are helping them and this lasted this long, who's to say they won't win this war?
How far are you willing to go?
Hold on.
How far are you willing to go?
Let me finish my thought.
At least 75 more million.
So hold on. So at this point, hold on. At this point, if a 3-day war has gone on this long,
for years,
who's really winning? Right? I saw a historian talk about how wars are ended. And one of the things he mentioned is that at this point, Vladimir Putin is essentially fighting for his life, because if he comes back with nothing, they'll probably kill him. Like, his people will probably kill him, right? So that's why Trump is so scared right now, because Putin has nothing to lose. He's either going to die. Trump is definitely scared of him. And I'll tell you why I say that. In that Oval Office meeting, he jumped in and said, hey, you're messing with World War III. You're messing with World War III, right? Do you think Putin really cares about a World War III? He's not scared. He's going and taking whatever he wants, right? So until somebody can stand up to a bully and say, look, we're not playing that, they're going to keep doing and keep doing. If you don't believe me,
are you serious?
Hold on. Why wouldn't I be?
Are you serious right now?
Why wouldn't I be?
Listen, great warriors have the sense to know that the cost of human lives and resources, it shows a level of leadership unseen. With this man would try his best to avoid the casualties.
Look,
we still
Rich,
probably got secret cells in this country that came through that southern border from Iraq and Iran, where we bombed the hell out of people who lost family members.
Rich,
you create enemies for life.
What do you think he's creating right now?
Hey, Rich.
What do you think he's creating right now?
That ain't no conspiracy theory.
And I'm taking all your stuff and I'm making you leave.
Yeah.
I want you to bow out gracefully, right? No resistance.
Rich, the only supporters Trump has right now is North Korea, right? Russia and Belarus, basically.
That's not true.
Those are his allies.
No.
Who is supporting Trump? Who's supporting him?
I think it was, I saw earlier today, the Italian prime minister told Zelensky this: you're welcome to continue the war, but you're not using any of my soldiers.
Well, guess what? A lot of countries in Europe have said, "Hey, we're still helping," and they've given more money than we actually have.
But no, you just said. See, we
almost as much, Paul. I think we've earmarked 100.
Said,
I read earlier this week we've earmarked 175. Is it billion?
175 billion.
And the European nations have earmarked right at 120 billion.
No, actually, I think it's
150 billion.
I think it's 258. I think it's 258.
Is it 258?
It's high. Collectively, they've given more. And what I don't want anyone to miss the thought here that, again, I always talk about the evolution of the world, and we talk about superpowers and how they come into existence. And the way that the economic structure is set up, the way the resources in terms of weapons is set up, it'll be a long way before the United States could lose that superpower status of the number one superpower. But when you're constantly pitting the world against you, you're setting yourself up for a long-term demise. And as evolution happens, this is a wake-up call for European nations, right? Because they see that what has traditionally been a very supportive relationship between the United States and the rest of the world is slowly slipping away. And these countries are not without resources without themselves. They're not without people to back up what resources they have to drive whatever agenda they may have. Now you have the superpowers like China. You have Russia that has a lot of people, has some resources, but they're just as broke as a lot of other countries, but they still wield a lot of power. You have North Korea that has armored weaponry that makes them somewhat of a threat. But we have to be careful around how we're throwing the weight of the United States in the future, because it can impact as evolution takes place that we're no longer the number one superpower, and that other countries collectively start to take their actions to continue to push us down that list. So just something to keep in mind. We talk all day and all night about how the actions that have been taking place, either overtly or covertly, to maintain the superpower status. And everyone wants transparency, but as we start to see these things come to light, don't underestimate the rest of the world's ability to align and basically make life tougher down the road for folks that have been your traditional superpowers. Just something to think about.
The only country I worry about is China. China can take over the world if they want, because they have the manpower. Now, you talk about us distancing ourselves from, if the countries in NATO would pay their fair share, they take advantage of us nonstop. If we pull out of NATO, I don't give a rip. That's on these other countries to start paying their fair share, stop depending on us to pay for everything. It's like going to a restaurant with you guys, and at the end of the meal, you look at me and say, hey, you're paying for all of us. I mean, that's not right. So,
Jason, thanks for sharing that bullet point. Please get me on that distribution list. Give me on that distribution list, because that's another good talking point.
The reason Trump wants to get Panama Canal back is because China's coming up through South America. They're coming up through South America. Did you know that Canada trains Chinese soldiers on cold weather fighting? I mean, he's allowing him up.
Hey, Jason, did you know how big of a population of Chinese have been in Brazil? In Brazil alone, for how many years they've been there?
They're taking over the whole site.
No, they're not taking over. They're not taking over. This is a global world. Chinese people just don't live in China. They live all over the world. Jamaican people just don't live in Jamaica.
They don't cross the border either without permission from the Chinese.
Let's not lose sight of the fact this is more about nation states and China wanting to dominate and to be the world power.
Yeah.
So it's not, there's Chinese everywhere. You're right, but I think there is a potential threat of their desire to run the world.
So let me ask this question. Hold on.
It was never checked.
Hold on.
They bought a boatload of farmland in this country,
which should be taken back by eminent domain.
never been checked on.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Should take all that land back by eminent domain.
Did people sell them that land? People sold them the land.
We can't go over to China and buy land. They shouldn't be allowed to buy land here.
Then we should have passed a law that said they couldn't buy this land, but people got rich off of selling that land. Now you just want to take it from, right? I mean, that's the way it is. Here's one thing I think.
China too, and they're on their land. They're American companies, and people have property in China too. But the whole subcontext of what you guys are suggesting is that Russia is setting up with their horses and bayonets to squeeze the U.S. What are we talking about? There's no war. Like when Jason, when you said they got the manpower, wars today aren't fought with people. What are you talking about?
Thank you.
You think they're gonna land their big planes over here and take us all and seize the White House? What are you guys scared of here? What is the subcontext of what you're afraid of when you talk about China in this regard?
If you think we go to war with China and they're not going to invade, they're not going to try to invade this country. They are.
Yeah.
I agree that most wars nowadays are fought with weapons that are incredibly destructive, but they're still going to send manpower. And what are we going to do if they take over Taiwan? We're not going to be able to stop them. There's no way. Absolutely no way.
If they take over where?
Simulate
Taiwan.
Every war game they simulate, we lose when they invade Taiwan. We lose. There's no way. My nephew is a Marine fighter pilot. He's a Top Gun. I mean, he says there's only so much they can do if they invade. So, I mean, China's goal is to be the number one world power.
And we fought them for that.
Surprise!
When you're at your job, do you strive to be number one, or do you strive to be number three?
Of course, we strive to be number one, but we shouldn't be. We shouldn't have.
So we should.
So you're saying because people are striving for something, you're supposed to just lay down and quit?
No, you're not.
Yeah, you just told Ukraine to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You just told Ukraine to do it.
All right, fellas. Look,
you just told them to lay down.
Yeah, just told Ukraine to do it. Yeah.
Look,
sit down and quit. Make your mind up.
All right, we're gonna table this because we've gone off on a tangent that is 10 miles long, and we're gonna jump into something else here, which is going to be a hot button topic. But the tariffs, part 2. Okay, let me unmute everybody so everybody can speak. It's a good little squabble. But Trump levied some tariffs early in the week, and lo and behold, it looks like he has rescinded a good part of those tariffs.
Hey,
based
somebody
on
with power fights back. That's what happens.
Right.
Absolutely.
They
didn't lay down and die.
Hold on. That's what happens.
Based on pushback from a lot of people in Congress, he's rescinded a lot of those tariffs. So do we think these were going to help in the end? You know, what do we think as citizens that this end game is? I know, Rich, you said that you think he's going to levy these to do some other things, but you know, it looks like even his advisors are telling him this is a bad idea. I haven't seen any financial people or business people say this is a good idea. So where do you guys think this is headed with these second round of tariffs?
Can I start?
Recession. That's where we're headed. A recession. Anytime the tariffs are increased for Mexico and Canada, they're coming back to us. You know, the imported fruit, card manufacturers. Look, man, none of this is good for us. I mean, I think in Canada, they pull all the alcohol and they threaten to cut power to several states that are powering electricity in the United States, man. Trump has a very short memory of anything that anybody does to aid in the U.S. And it's all about him and what he imposes his will to be. And the fact of the matter is, these things are put into place to benefit both countries, not just the United States. So why do we consistently fall short and having empathy and compassion from everybody else? This is just all about us. Come on, man, this is crazy.
So Pete, you said he did this. I do not think he did any kind of pullback on the tariffs because of anything that people said in Congress. He did this because the business community said, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? I was on the phone this afternoon with one of my clients who's the CFO, and hadn't talked to him in a couple of weeks, and we were like, "Hey, what?" I was like, "What's the latest?" My question for all of them. He said, "Waiting to see what happens with tariffs." And so I unpacked it a little bit. I said, "Is that because you guys are trying to figure out from a kind of sales side or from a supply chain side the impact?" And he said, "By every metric, it's on the supply chain side, right? And for us, where we can't pass the price on to our eventual customers, this is just pure profit erosion for us." He literally gave me the numbers. He was like, "Hey, we're going to lose 14% of our profits this year because of tariffs."
Wow,
that's the message.
The beautiful thing.
That's great. That's great. I was gonna say that's great insight, kid. Great insight. Yep.
The beautiful thing about all of this is business is nuanced. There's a lot of gray areas, and sometimes you have to throw out some preposterous ideas to get to a solution. It wasn't going to be comfortable for the countries that this was happening for either. And the excuse that was given for Mexico was that the USMCA deal, he told the media that was the reason for the pause. Ken, you might be right. It might be the business owners. It might be a combination. It might be his advisors. We don't know what's going on in that man's head. I know that you guys have this obsession that he's just so horrible and evil, and it's all about him. But what I want to say about tariffs is they have the potential of providing benefits to the U.S. economy by protecting domestic industries from foreign competition. It can lead to job creation, increased investment in American manufacturing. It can stimulate local economies.
So let me ask you
the benefits.
So guess what, Rich? When that happens and all of the supplies are up, who do we sell to?
Well, because everybody will be working in the U.S., the American economy will be bustling.
But what happens with supply chain? We're going to have an overabundance of inventory in the U.S.
I think the whole end game in this is not. He just wants to level the playing field for countries that are jacking up tariffs against us. He wants to bring them down, and
nobody's moved tariffs but us.
We've been under tariffs for years.
They don't take our cars in Germany, but they ship all their cars over here. But the industry that's affected the most by tariffs is the agricultural industry. China stopped buying our soybeans back in the 90s. They went to South America. It crushed the farmers here. So I don't think Trump's end game is to raise tariffs to the point that it's going to kill the economy here. No, I think he's just leveling. He just wants every country to level the playing field.
It's just a bubble, bro. But you guys always think the most extreme worst is going to come from it.
No, if Germany's tariffing us 25%, why can't we just all come down to a 12.5% tariff and meet in the middle? And I think that's what Trump's trying to do.
But here's the thing.
So why not ask for that?
The point of the tariffs from Trump's side was not even that they were applying tariffs. It was supposed to be fentanyl, stop the fentanyl coming in, and
the border crisis.
And the border crisis. But here's the thing: Canada only supplies like 0.5% of the fentanyl that comes into this country. and only 1.5% of the undocumented immigrants that come into the country are from Canada. So it's not even an issue with Canada. It's more, in my opinion, Trump's ego and his issue with Justin Trudeau. I mean, that's the issue. Otherwise, there was no reason for him to levy any tariffs against Canada. If it was about tariffs, he would have levied tariffs against Germany for their cars, right? Or whatever they want.
Well, he is going after Germany.
No, he's not.
It's
only Canada and Mexico are having additional tariffs at this point, and China additional tariffs at this point.
The head of the Treasury Department said that they weren't going after Germany to even the playing field with our cars going there and their cars coming here.
But they haven't done it.
Guys,
He's been in a month.
we can't keep talking about this until you guys learn macroeconomics. You guys need to go take a macroeconomics class.
I majored in economics.
Wrong, Carolina.
I majored in economics. Economics is theory.
Ken,
Ken's like, dog, come on, man.
Come back, Ken. So the tariffs have the potential of benefiting government revenue that can be reinvested in public services, infrastructure.
Rich, so like Jason said,
Hey,
it's theory,
let him
right?
finish reading. Let him finish reading, Paul. Go ahead, Rich.
But Rich, let me ask you.
Ty,
Hey,
I love you, man.
I said, go ahead, baby. I got you. I got you.
You're making me mad.
I got you.
let me point something out. Let me point something out, Rich. You're going off a theory, but we want to talk about what's actually happening. And Trump and his administration have rescinded these tariffs. And here's the thing. Here's the problem with it, in my opinion. No one but Trump wanted these tariffs. I haven't heard of any business leaders or people in industry, no financial people, no scholars. I haven't heard anyone but Trump say that tariff, especially in this high inflation atmosphere or environment that we're in right now. I didn't see anyone that said this is a good thing. So do we think Trump is the all-knowing, all-seeing?
No.
Or did he make a mistake?
He could have
made a mistake.
He could have. He's not above reproach. Well, he does think he's above reproach. But I kind of like the cockiness. But
That's not good.
it's possible for him to make mistakes. Okay.
Hey, look.
Tom, what you got to say, Tom?
I can get off now. Hey, look. Hey, progress. Go ahead. We good. Progress. That's all. Thank you, Rich.
Say that's all you need to hear, huh?
That's all I need. A little bit. That's all I wanted to hear. A little bit of
everybody is capable of mistake.
I'll take that. I never heard that until today, though. It took 5 weeks, but we got. Okay.
Oh my God! Look, I'll take him all day over anybody y'all got on the left,
and that's fine. That's your right to. I never said that, but that's cool.
All right. So
for once, I'm glad you said that no one's perfect and that they make mistakes, because it seems like one side they feel if they say that he's wrong about something, then they
this is the thing.
That's not. Go ahead.
I think the reason supporters are so 10 toes down for him is because they watched for the last 8 years them put felony upon felony on this dude. They found everything wrong with him, and now even when it gets exposed, like the whole Russian collusion, we told y'all about the Hunter laptop. Every time these things got pointed out, it was always dismissed. And y'all wonder why we like, whoa, no, we got his back. Because he has shown more intent for the American people than anybody in the last 12 years.
And Rich, I think you forgot
administrations.
Rich, I think you forgot about the actual 34 convictions and the
I was gonna say he was about 31 sexual short.
And the sexual assault.
Hey, listen,
charge.
either way, it's lawfare. It's lawfare. And it's a shame because we're going to see a lot of the people that you guys think were on the up and up be held accountable for.
Well,
everybody but one person.
So look,
right?
let's break off the tangent. Let's break off the tangent. So we have another topic to cover here, and this is one that I ran across, and I just want to know how you guys feel about it. Donald Trump posted this on his Truth Social site this week, and it relates to freedom of speech, and he posted all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protest. Well, some clarification on that. It says agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled, depending on the crime, arrested, no mask. Thank you for your attention in this matter. So,
paraphrase what that means, Paul. That means if you don't agree with my agenda, you got to go.
It's never as simple as you guys. It's never as simple as you guys try to make it out to be.
That's what it's saying, Rich.
Give it to us, Rich.
Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, so on these campuses, it was coming out that these protesters were blocking entry into facilities.
It's called protest. But go
public
ahead.
facility. No.
Oh, not like the Capitol.
On. Your freedom of speech is limited to the ability to voice your complaints. You can't hold somebody in a facility.
Can you break into a facility?
You can certainly do that.
Can you break into a facility?
You can't hold.
Can you break into a facility and kill police?
No police officer got killed in January 6th.
Not one.
But that kind of protest was okay, right?
That's a great question. Ask that question again, Ty.
I said, now you want to stay on. I said, so was that a legal protest?
No,
Get the dying count.
I agree.
Nobody died. Nobody committed suicide.
No.
Was that a legal protest?
Sure.
No, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have gone into the building. I agree, but no cop got killed.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you. Jason.
I just said sure.
You said no. That's okay. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you.
But
you said no.
No student should sit there and take employees of a university hostage and then not have any repercussions.
No one said there shouldn't be any repercussions, right? But when he says illegal protest, that's very vague, right? It's very vague, right?
Those who did what they did know what they did, and they knew that nothing was going to happen.
Can you be any more vague than that?
Those who blocked off, locked up, brought masks, and was doing some dastardly stuff when they were protesting, knew that laws were not going to be enforced when it came to it.
They could get arrested. That's fine. They can get arrested, but why should funding stop?
But none of them did, Paul.
Why should funding stop?
None of them did.
But why should funding stop to these universities?
Because the universities are okay with it. These universities are
Rich, do you think they knew necessarily up front that these people were going to do things they did? That's not the way protests work.
They don't tell you know to what level it was going to go, but they didn't enforce. They got every campus has police, Paul. They let the stuff happen. They let it happen.
Rich, then arrest the people. Arrest them. Let me mention something to you. This is from your Agenda 47 that Trump, you told me to read, right? Trump has a video on this. He says he wants to take money from institutions that allow protests that he doesn't really agree with. He wants to take money from their endowments and create a university, which isn't even legal by the Constitution. He wants to create a University of America, American University with their money. He basically wants to rob them because they don't agree with him. That's what he's setting up to do. That's exactly what he's setting up to do.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's
you can say it's not going to happen, but he said
I'm so sure about that, Jason or Rich.
It's not going to happen. That's that.
But
That's not going to happen.
No.
The
the one thing the government needs to do is get out of the student loan business. That's what drives up tuition more than anything. If the government would get out of the student loan business, tuition might have a shot of going back down.
It's the one industry that hasn't had a downturn.
But what does that have to do with freedom of speech being violated?
It's not being
Freedom of
violated.
speech. When you have these Palestinians who are threatening the Jewish students as they're walking to class. You can't do that. You can't threaten.
You can arrest.
kids.
You can arrest.
But they
Right.
weren't, Paul.
They should be arrested, but they're not. They're not. Nobody's arresting them. So they get more aggressive.
Go ahead, Kim.
Let me give you two other freedom of speech things that have happened here, and see if Rich and Jason will make excuses for this shit too. What about all the banning of books that have happened over the past 5 years?
There's no banning of books. They've just said that pornographic books should not be in a third grade library. Put them in the
you didn't just Jason, stop, man. You said they just said they banned the book.
Good. Because that kind of teaches.
Do you read porn to your child? Did you read porn to your child?
Have you watched these kids?
Porn to your child,
have you watched these kids get up in front of school boards and read these books? It's cringeworthy.
Number two,
they always tell the person who's reading it, "Oh, stop!" They're at these adult.
Yeah, they don't even want to hear it.
Committee meetings, and they can't handle it. But you want it to stay in the school? Come on, man.
And Rich, the way you tell it, hide it in a book, they'll never find it. Our education system is so bad, right? So
every book that was banned was not because it has sexual content.
Okay, just like y'all be doing. I want to see the list. Ken, I need to see the list.
I'll bring you the
please share the list with everybody.
Number two is teaching DEI, or prohibiting schools from universities on down from teaching DEI, freedom of speech.
That's indoctrination. That's complete indoctrination.
Don't leave, Ken. Don't leave.
Telling one group of kids that they're not as good as another group because of privilege or whatever. Why do you want to do that to kids? That's every kid has the exact same opportunity if they apply themselves.
Jason, what type of indoctrination are we talking about here?
Exactly. It is amazing how the two of them place everything that happened into to indoctrination, right?
Okay.
The only indoctrination was about equality. And
let me give you another scenario that isn't even indoctrination. I was told a story about how these recruits came in for the military, and they explained they had a white guy from Oklahoma, and there were blacks from other places. They told the white guy, "Yeah, your ancestors did this, this, and that, and you have privilege because of that." That should have no bearing when people come in. That there might be a time and place to talk about that, but when you're teaching that, you already put in place differences. When you're trying to make the ethos of a military to make sure that everybody is on the same team, when you start throwing stuff out like that, you are creating animosity from day one. If you've got a football team, you want everybody on the squad, same mind, one mindset to achieve the objective. But when you start doing all of these differences and pointing them out, and you splinter a society. There's a reason why it's called the United States.
We come back to my question.
My question is so united, Rich.
3 things that I'm asking you to. Why aren't these suppressing freedom of speech? 1, by banning books. 2, by telling schools they cannot teach DEI. And 3, by now making rules against protesting on campus. Why aren't those 3 suppressing freedom of speech?
Because first of all, we've given you the nuances of the campus situation where they were breaking the law. Your freedom of speech has limitations. Just like they said you can't go into a crowded theater and scream fire. I mean, come on, man.
So that's one. What's 2?
Why are they arresting people who are peacefully protesting outside an abortion clinic who are not attacking anybody? They're just why are they arresting
they put people away for that.
Why are they arresting parents at a board meeting who are just saying we don't want those books in our schools, or they're not saying we're banning those books, but they're not age appropriate. And that one gentleman who stood up, whose daughter was raped by a transgender student, and they hauled him out.
Rich and Jason, I say this with all respect for everything you have accomplished in your lives. But I talked to enough people on both sides of the aisle, not to overuse that phrase, and it is amazing the techniques and the talking points that you guys use over and over and over again. It is like Groundhog Day. It is literally like Groundhog Day. And no matter how many times the lies have been disputed, no matter how many times the random stories I heard of a military, if you ain't ever served in the military, don't talk about the military. If you never sat and stood in formation, don't talk about what happens in those damn lines.
I was a military brat. It's close enough.
No, it's not close enough. No, it's not close enough. I was in the military.
Thank you for your parent service. So,
yeah, thanks for your parent service. Thank you, Dad.
I took ROTC
for
multiple years.
But my point being is, guys, we are smarter than this. We are smarter than this, and all I hear is repeated talking points and repeated deflections.
But you guys can't rebut it. You guys can't rebut.
But there's no need to rebut, because every time that they've been proven false, you come up with another one. It's fruitless. It's fruitless.
All we hear from your side is Nazi, fascist.
No, Jason, you don't know.
Half the people don't even know what fascism means. They don't even know what it means. They just spit it out because they hear it from somebody else.
So Jason, you can't say your side, because I'm if anybody will care to chime in, I'm pretty much down the middle on a lot of issues. I call a spade. I call bullshit. And so, again, as an observer, what I do find is diversity in the topics and how they're approached from one side that's different than the other. And the dissension is there, man. The dissension is there, and it's just frustrating that we can't have a fruitful conversation because we keep coming back to talking points and deflections.
This is a hot topic, definitely. We're going to move on from freedom of speech. We're jumping into something else that is related to freedoms, and that is DOGE. And are we going to just keep allowing them to, do what they're doing and make these mistakes that they make continuously, even though they're supposed to be the best and brightest? Is Congress going to allow them to continue to do what they're doing? Right. So what do you guys think about, DOGE and where they are right now? Should they be allowed to even continue what they're doing?
I'm not sure of what you mean by mistakes, the mistakes they're making.
Well, you do know that they regularly will say, hey, they will post things on their DOGE website on X that we've saved this much or canceled these contracts. And then you go back and they realize that, hey, $8 billion was actually an $8 million contract, or they counted a contract 3 times, or the contract that was supposed to be, 200 some million was 500,000. Those are mistakes that are coming up on a regular basis out of this group. Also, the stopping of funds for certain programs, and they realize, oh, my bad, we shouldn't have stopped funds for that program because it was a necessary funding program. So they keep making these mistakes over and over and over, and we're just allowing it to happen. Congress doesn't say anything. They really shouldn't even really have the authority to do a lot of what they're doing. They can make recommendations, but they're actually stopping people from receiving funds that have been allocated through Congress. So, we have one guy who's at one point was not the head, but who was the head, and they said he wasn't the head. Now we know that he is the head of the department, who's supposed to be transparent, making cuts and, cutting contracts for things he has no authority to do. And then the people working on his team seem to have no idea what they're really cutting. They're not diving deep enough. They're just looking at a number or looking at taking a directive that says, hey, cut these people that are in probationary period, even though they may be essential. Is DOGE going to stay around long? I heard that today that Trump got with Elon and the secretaries on the cabinet and said, look, the secretaries are going to handle their departments, and Elon, you're just going to make recommendations. So it looks like they're backing away from them a little bit at this point. So what do we think about where DOGE is heading if it's going to stay around?
I think DOGE is going to stay around because it is the distraction that we all talk about while Musk and his team kind of raids the coffers, as the robber barons that they are. We're talking about whether or not his cuts and his decisions belong for him or the cabinet list. Meanwhile, he still got all the contracts for all the SpaceX and Starlink shit. Whatever else he's cutting and getting ready for some other private, probably billionaire crony that comes in to take over is setting up. And so every time we talk about Elon Musk and DOGE on here, I'm going to talk about the shit that people aren't talking about, which is what he gets and everybody who is behind the scenes getting while we're talking and following the bullshit that they want us to.
So are they actually saving us any money?
No.
In the end, is it going to really amount to anything?
The estimates vary.
They vary.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know you guys are expecting perfection, but I mean, what can you expect from what you guys deem to be a bunch of idiots, right?
No. I think it's just the opposite. They're supposed to be the best and the brightest.
They have clearly defined who they are by their actions.
They just built a website, and they're slowly getting it in. They even acknowledge on the website that they're trying to methodically get the information in there so it's digestible. Right now, the early estimates are $105 billion is what they've saved. This is the thing. Why is it a bad thing to try to save money for the taxpayer?
It's not.
I don't think it's not.
We don't think that's a bad idea, Rich.
I don't think it's bad at all, Rich. You keep saying that, and we've agreed from the beginning. We said it's a good thing, but it has to be, like he said, methodical, thought out. Again, if you could be methodical about getting your website finally up, I mean, at least you could be methodical about the cuts. I mean, we pick and choose when we get methodical. I mean, when it comes down to cutting jobs and stuff, but then I got to be methodical about this website so I can make sure that it's right and so it looks good and I can have the information. But why don't you take the time? Because again, now all of a sudden you need time when it comes to things like this.
Time.
But when we say take time to make these cuts and make sure you got the right people being cut for the right reasons, that's okay. But when it comes down to the website, give them time. We have numbers just like we have concepts. I know. We know.
Check it out. One of the reasons that I saw that they went in like they did, you guys talk junk about him with the whole chainsaw. It was a gift given to him by another world leader. But it was anyway, the reason they went in without warning people is because they had been begging for information and weren't getting it. So they went in without giving these people time to hide the information, to keep it from being exposed. I mean, when you go and do a bust, you don't tell the person that you busted, hey man.
So how's that worked out, Rick?
On Friday. These are not criminals. You're right, Paul. They're not.
No. They're not hidden. They're not hidden contracts.
What was revealed in this sudden approach? What was pulled back? What was hidden?
Listing certain things off, Ken said last week that none of it was true. They giving money for sex changes in Guatemala. They like giving $20 million to Iran for sesame street.
And I think if I recall correctly, that was 0.5% of the budget?
What does it matter? It's
Yeah,
$20
Rich,
million.
We're
here's the
giving money to enemies. What's that? The Taliban's getting like $20 million. That's insane.
I mean, y'all giving it
Look.
smarts like it ain't nothing.
Look.
No,
Look.
we need to get to the bottom of that and cut it. We just said be methodical with it. Hey, at least be methodical with that as you are with the website. I rock with that. That's all. There we go. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, Ken. Can I talk about the Taliban?
Don't let them pull you back, Ty.
Go ahead, Kim.
Because a lot of the shit that they rattle off has no context in it. So if you ask some of it, I had another colleague, right, who was a military like colonel for a while, right, and he used to tell stories, and he'll still tell you these stories today, that when they were in these kind of war-torn countries, right, and for example, they wanted to build a road to help move military equipment, right? But they knew they had to go through a potential enemy territory. They had two different options. They had one, seize them and fucking kill them, or two, offer them money as a truce so that they can build the road to get the aid where they want to do. And in many times, because we're a democracy, that does not want to impose war every time we need to get something done, we will offer them cash. Now, whether you think that's the right decision.
Oh, now you don't want to do war. Now
you don't want to. I'm getting ready to say the same thing. Now he wants peace. He wants to pay him to have peace.
It's not what I want. It's what decisions they made to what to do with the $20 million. You guys picked on the $20 million they gave the Taliban. They gave the $20 million to keep from having to kill more people, because they needed the road built to get the aid where it needed to go. You guys sit there
aid or logistical support.
$200 billion given to Abrams down in Atlanta.
And you have no idea what you're talking about when you take this shit off the DOGE website and run around spouting it off like it's some gospel.
Are you mad?
I'll impose a thought that when we start talking about cutting people, if you worked in a corporation or if you've had ever cut jobs, there's usually a severance, right? So I think most of the folks who were offered a package, there's a cost to come with package. So you start looking at retirees who may have gone to retire in 2025. Say they were going to retire, maybe they got a bonus in the first part of the year, but you're going to pay them to the end of September. Okay, that's a little extra cost. That's maybe cutting them long term, but you eat some additional costs up front. PIPs, bad performers, right? You still got them working there, and hey, you might want to get rid of them, but you got to offer a package, just blind package without a plan going in. Now you're paying them till the end of September, where you would have got rid of them in April. Talent suck. You're forcing out some very talented people, especially in the science areas, where they could go make a shitload more money in the private industry, which may be what they want to drive towards anyway. But now that's additional cost, because now you got to find those talented people and bring them back in, and they may or may not be there. So now you may even just degraded your organization. So again, I don't think anybody on this call has ever said they had qualms about cost cutting. I think the approach of how you do it and to avoid missteps that we're seeing is the biggest contention that I have. And I think that's the sentiment of a lot of folks here. But again, our organized approach of how you're doing these things. And Rich, that reference to drug rate was terrible, because now you just put a whole nother veil on hardworking individuals who have given their time and their efforts to this country. And I mean,
I'll concede that probably wasn't the best comparison. The main thing that I think that I was trying to convey was the element of surprise, keeping them from being able to hide what the monies were going to.
Well,
I mean, the FBI was
to that point, though, Rich. I mean, even to that point, and the organization, just to talk on the organization, you have numbers that are being reported by these by agencies that aren't even getting fact checked by DOGE. They're getting a number, and it has yet to be determined whether they're being duped on purpose or if they are truly mistakes. But they're getting numbers, and they're so in a rush to claim some glory around the work that they're not doing, is that they're taking these numbers and then finding out later, oh shit, it wasn't
as much as
it wasn't what I thought it was. Or, oh shit, that contract applied to 3 different agencies, and even though I triple counted. So again, the cost cutting and cost savings, no one's going to object to, but the method and how you're doing these things, and the approach of having an organized approach where it's not about look at me and what I'm doing, it's about hey, I'm really servicing this country. That's what matters to me, and not all this grandiose bullshit that we're seeing.
But I actually think that amplifies what I'm trying to say, that they would be dishonest with the information anyway.
Because they're dishonest people. Why should
No, I'm not talking about DOGE. I'm talking about the people who
I'm talking about DOGE.
Information to
the
DOGE.
credibility of the cut be given to DOGE rather than the people who were hired and put in those places to do the job. Like what we're calling fraud all the time and all this shit. Just because DOGE says it's fraud, why the fuck do we buy it as fraud? Who made them the authority on this? Especially when the leader.
Damn, what do you need? What do you need to understand it as fraud? Sending $30 million to Guatemala for sex
there you go again,
bro.
There you go, rattling off something you don't have context for, Rich. You don't have context.
I don't need context for that.
Rich, all of these, the spending went through Congress, line by line. It's always been there. It's not hidden. For example,
they put it in bills, and the bills are so gigantic that it gets hidden and it gets slid right through.
Rich,
they always attack stuff like that.
Let me ask you. So, Rich,
that's why they do it,
Rich. It's that, and that is okay. They can cut those things.
It's not okay.
No, I'm saying it's okay. We can cut those things. That's fine. But the question is, it's not even the question. We have people making these decisions that aren't even really authorized to stop any type of fund. But here's the question. You ask, the question is, did Bill Clinton do it better? Because Bill Clinton, when he left office, you sent me this video, Rich, where Clinton got rid of 300,000+ employees, right? Federal government. And I went and looked at that. And what they did is they went through Congress to do that. He didn't just say,
which is the correct way to do it.
Correct. He went through Congress. They went through and made these recommendations, and that's how the cuts got made. And that's the process that we should go through. And if you say, well, it's nothing has worked. When he left office, he had a surplus in the budget, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to that point, okay? But I don't think that that we can say that the process that they're going through, it's never been done, and it's been done better, in my opinion. I think Bill Clinton did it better. That was my question. Did Bill Clinton do it better?
By Robert Barron.
And I don't know why I don't know why the people on the far right are so comfortable with allowing someone to just make the decision.
Have this kind of power.
No, someone to make a decision, right? That the full Congress, the House and the Senate and the president signed off on, and now we're saying that this one guy in his one department can say none of this is not right. This is not good. While we're comfortable with that.
Well, I mean, he does have a strong resume. He's led 5 different companies, and one of the things that he has been good at is cost-cutting measures. He took over Twitter. They laid off a lot of people. Twitter is now profitable, and they have made it by way of making tough decisions. Now, let me say this last thing.
Go ahead.
You are talking about the 90s when there was some semblance of government working together. We're in a day and age where it's so divided, and then you have so many rhinos that could care less about the intent.
So you bypass the right way to do it?
Well,
I mean,
no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
understanding.
this is the thing.
Don't
You
include
keep
Congress
saying-
anymore,
you
right?
keep saying the right
Well-
way to do it.
Well,
And
no,
that's because it's not the way you believe it should be
No,
done.
that's the way. That's the way the law says it's supposed to be done.
The
It's supposed
Constitution
to go
says
through
that's the way
Congress.
it's supposed to be done.
That's the way it's supposed to be done. They're not making it.
Not people.
Only thing that's been done differently that's not the way it's supposed to be done is the way he's doing it. The wraparound he's trying to do. Now they have the majority in the House and Senate, so why not do it the right way? Because again, we didn't say cuts don't need to be made. I am 100%. If cuts need to be made, let them be made. But let there be a discussion between the House and Senate. That's why we put them in place. Because again, that's what the people wanted. You have the majority. Why can't there be a discussion? And if that's the case, same he just said about Clinton, they came together and made cuts. So let's talk about that. So let's not talk about because I can't get it the way I want it when I want it, I'm just gonna bully my way. What do they do? What does that sound like a democracy?
Take that.
That's
take
crazy.
That, take that.
The way to do it is to have the discussion and
Rich
make
just
it cut.
some shit off too, right? Can I fact check him real time when he talking about Twitter? In 2024, X's revenue was 2.5 billion, down 13% from the year before, and at the same, and their user base is falling big time too. So you just spouting off more Doge, Elon Musk bullshit that you're not even giving us facts. You just are dropping stuff. So you talk about the 5 companies and all the stuff he did. He has a fundamental approach where he goes in and breaks shit and then try to rebuild it to his life. And that's exactly what he did with Twitter and doing X. And that's what he's doing now. The problem that he's doing now is he's impacting people's life. And to the points the brothers made already, is completely illegal because these dollars were signed into law by an act of Congress and signed by the president.
And since we're fact checking, Ken, $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, only $350,000 have been allocated to it, and most of it was gone for mental and the mental support and services around it, not just necessarily to sex changes. So, but it was spouted somewhere and then retweeted, and a few right wings have said that it must be true. So that's a talking point that keeps getting used, guys. I again. When we spout these things, I mean, it really helps to just do a quick search. The web is out there. There's some notable sources out there, and they can give you some detail behind the talking points that you're getting that you guys won't blind copy me on. Blind copy. I just want to listen. I want to know.
Yeah.
Here, I want to make a comparison here because
Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead, Jason.
I could care less. I want DOGE to go in and I want them to gut the system. I do. But why don't we do this? Why don't we agree to this? When Obamacare came about, I sat there and said, what do politicians and lawyers know anything about healthcare? Why didn't they bring in doctors? Why didn't they bring in the pharmaceutical companies? And why didn't they, bring these people in together and say, and healthcare companies and say, here's the problem. Here's how we can lower cost. I'm sitting there going, what does an attorney and a politician know anything about healthcare? Get the healthcare companies, the doctors, and the pharmaceutical companies to come in and say, here's how we can lower costs. If we do this, we can lower costs. When I look at DOGE, I love it. I love what they're doing. But let's agree to this. Why don't we bring in a third-party CPA firm to come in behind them as they're doing these cuts? A nonpartisan company that can say, hey, Elon Musk said they just did 200 million here. We've gathered it up and it's actually only 125 million.
I'm not off base.
So Jason, let's go back to why that did not happen for the Affordable Health Care Act.
Because the politicians and the attorneys wanted to make
the pharmaceutical industry as well as insurance providers were basically not insuring people for pre-existing conditions.
Profit.
But that's what I'm saying. They could have all come together and said, we can make this work. Attorneys
that was not the same interest.
But
one interest was providing health care for underinsured people and people that could not acquire or even obtain insurances versus profits and bylaws or written laws of why you couldn't insure people. So there was no agreement with regards to going down the aisle and saying, do you agree or disagree? They were never going to agree.
They would have.
No, they would not.
They never tried. They never tried.
How can you make that
So
assessment?
what is the harm in insuring millions of people, Jason?
Could they still haven't come up with a plan?
I have nothing against insuring millions of people, but I have a problem with doing it the wrong way and right way, where attorneys and politicians don't know jack shit about healthcare. When you can bring in the healthcare industry, the doctors, and the pharmaceutical companies, and you can say, okay, nobody leaves this room until we figure out how to lower healthcare costs where everybody can afford it, and you have to insure pre-existing conditions. Have no problem with that. But attorneys and lawyers have no idea what goes on.
Oh, and yes, they do.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Go ahead, Hump. Go ahead, Hump.
So I will agree with you, Jason, on attorneys and politicians may not know the depth of what's required to write a law around healthcare. But I damn sure do believe that there's a ton of lobbyists out there with a lot of information that they are presenting to those lawmakers and those politicians. Now, what they choose to do with that information is an age-old question that happens depending on how much money they're getting paid, and that's going to drive their vote. So I can't sit here and say that none of that is being factored in or that information wasn't presented as those laws went into place. I think we're all smart enough to know that they may have the information. What they choose to do with it, that's a whole other thing. I will agree with you on the point on auditing what DOGE finds, and what you're talking is an organized approach, right? It's something that will show a level of transparency. Now, unfortunately, all the inspector generals, that was their job. It wouldn't have been great to say, hey, all you IGs, let's get in a room. Let's talk about where we think there may be some fraud, waste, and abuse. And let's put together our plan in order to remove that, as opposed to firing those inspector generals and now maybe even suggesting an outside firm or a CPA firm come in and audit what has already been done, as opposed to a proactive approach of identifying and removing, so that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So you don't have people dying halfway around the world because you have identified one or two things in a bigger program and you're cutting the whole program. An organized approach, right? So
DC is 95% leftist, and that includes all of those that were there prior to Trump coming in.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of what you said there.
Washington, D.C. is 95% leftist. They, to make it seem as if you could have this meeting and they not run out of the meeting running to tell their friends what was proposed and how they would have no desire for it to be successful, you're not being realistic.
Okay, so I have the world's richest man having these meetings, and he's not running out of the room and telling all his billionaire friends how I'm going to privatize this to make you richer,
and taking money out of the back door for himself,
and taking out money out the back door.
Now, what makes y'all have proof that he's taking any money out the back door? Trump,
he just secured the FFA contract at $2.4 billion for Starlink.
No, we have no more proof.
What happened to it today?
Yeah, they lost contact with it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but hey,
Rich,
our money, why not? Hey,
Rich, Republicans, they have the majority in the House and in the Senate. They could certainly work with Elon to do some of these things. I don't know why
I can rattle off at least 5 that are rhinos.
That's not the goal.
They got a bunch of Republicans that ain't fully on board.
But they're 95%.
They've been playing the game. Come on, man. That's not new.
They're straight partisan, dude.
Come on, man.
Yep.
95% leftists.
Yeah, look, they haven't tried, Rich, is the point. They haven't tried. They just brought in a guy and said, hey, start cutting. They didn't even try.
Because this is not
because he had a mandate from the voters, and
he didn't even really have a mandate.
And the further along that you get, the less capable you are to act on the things that you promise. And I mean, things are working right now because the Supreme Court came in and told him he's got to release those funds. So I know that all of y'all rejoiced on that.
But
Rich,
some common sense. Yeah, right now we draw some common sense
to do.
But Rich, why go through all of this chaos to get to a point that we could get to a lot smoother and without having the American people in such an uproar? You see people they've mentioned these town halls and how people are giving pushback. Why even put the American people through this? There are much better ways to do what they're doing now. They just haven't attempted it.
So those town halls, Paul, they're more people who didn't vote for him in those town halls.
They're people? They're American citizens.
But you made it seem as if it was. You made it seem as if it was buyer's remorse, like it was.
But no, you said it was the United States
who had buyer's remorse.
Can we talk about the NBA now? Because this is going nowhere.
Yeah. Before we go to the NBA thing, we have a something to settle us down a little bit, and this is from Ty, and it is tipping etiquette. Was that the topic, Ty?
You probably should have waited to the end. You gonna come off of this?
No, yeah, we want to cool it down. We want to cool it down because you and Rich might be on the same page with this.
Rich ain't tipping nobody. I guarantee you don't tip.
So
I'm messing with you, Rich. I'm messing with you.
Tom, what's your tipping etiquette? What's your tipping etiquette?
No, I don't have the tip. I just have a question.
Okay.
So I went to the bar last week. Mm-hmm. I had it, so I had my order. While I'm waiting on my to go, I had a drink. I had a nice old fashioned, very nice. And so after my food came, and it wasn't much. I think my order came to like $50, $52. My drink was $9. Okay, so I gave So I think I gave her whatever I did. The change should have been like $13. And she asked me, do I want my change? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I have no problem tipping. And again, because I had a drink, my drink was around $9, $10. And again, I was going to throw in some extra for the, a little bit for the carry out, but not the full amount. That I would normally get a 15 to 20%. But the look she gave me, and she asked me 3 times, do you want your money? Because again, I want my change so I can give you my tip.
Right.
In that case.
Which is your choice.
Huh?
Which is your choice.
Which is my choice. But the look she gave, she was fine too. I hate it. But that third look, she looked at me like, I can't believe. And so I just wanted to know, am I wrong?
No.
If you go out like that, you had a carry out. Do you tip
Absolutely
on
not.
the full order or the drink you had? So I gave her $7 on a $9 drink and a $50, $40-some carry out. So was I wrong?
No, you weren't, because the rules of engagement changed under COVID, where now when you do your card or whatever, it automatically always pops up. Do you want a tip? And I kicked myself the other day because I tipped somebody. All you did was prepare the food. That's what I came to get. You ain't sat me down. You ain't gave me no drink. You ain't done nothing. You gave me the food. And they need to teach that young lady about, you don't ask whether they want their change. You hand them their change, and then that's where you get what you get. No.
Look at this. Look at this.
All right.
Rich and Ty on the same
thing. We do have another brother from another persuasion on, and they say that we tip differently. Can I get your feedback on what your thoughts on that?
Yeah, what do you think, Jason?
Well, I think it's ridiculous that people order $10 worth of food from Taco Bell and pay $6 to have it delivered by DoorDash. That's insane to me. When you could get in your car and go to Taco Bell and be home in like 2 minutes, and COVID has made this society so lazy that we're willing to sit here and pay an extra $6 for a $10 order of Taco Bell.
Two kids in college, and I'm telling you, you see the bill, and it's amazing what like you said, a $7 to $9 meal turns into, because you want to stay on your video game in your dorm or your apartment.
So Ty and Jason and Rich on the same page. What you thinking?
No, I'm on board with not tipping for services not provided. So I'm always a big fan. If you provide a service, that's what tipping is supposed to be. Tipping is supposed to be on a service, not on a job function. So if you did something above and beyond, Ty, you had a very good old fashioned, you would have been well within your realm to tip only on the drink and not on the food. It sounds like you were over generous on it. So no big deal there. I do believe that I won't blame COVID on making people lazy. I think there was a ton of business opportunists out there who took advantage of a situation. But we all know that once you set a precedence, that it's hard to go back from it. So, I mean, that's the norm. It's become the new norm, and that's what people are used to. But that doesn't mean you have to subscribe to it.
Downtown
Detroit,
when I was growing up,
when we were watching TV when I was growing up, you know what the remote control was? It was me. It was my dad telling me to get off my ass.
Call you down here.
Sometimes you weren't even in the room when he were the remote control.
Oh yeah, come downstairs. Yeah,
come downstairs and turn his television for me.
Hey, Ray and Kid, you guys on the same page? You guys feel you're the same, but you feel like they took the right approach? Ty took the right approach?
No, you cheap bastards shouldn't cheat that tip. You heard him say she was cute too. She probably felt uncomfortable.
Man,
She's trying to get pay for her mental anguish.
They said some of that charge is for the looks I was given.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't no free peaks around here.
Exactly. You get all kind of
extra time she put on them the extra time she put on them baby hair.
Don't you stop.
So see, Ty, this worked out. You actually found something you could agree with Jason and Rich on. So that's a good note, right?
Always.
Well, let's get our party shots here. We'll 1 or 2 minute segment for each person to talk about whatever's on their mind for the day. And why don't we let our guest panelist, Jason, why don't you go first today, man?
Okay, my parting shot is this. I'm very disappointed in, I'm a Carolina graduate. I love college football. Hard Knocks could not get any NFL team to allow them into their practices this year. So UNC said, hey, come do a college team. They were going to sign the contract today. It came out. They said, we're not going to do it. I was like, man, that would have been awesome to watch Carolina in Hard Knocks, the college team.
Yep.
So
I thought that would have been pretty sharp too. Pretty cool.
It probably would have helped with recruiting too.
yeah, exactly. So, but learned today, they decided they're not going to do it. So, so another college team should jump all over that. So,
yeah.
Ohio State probably will.
Yeah. All right. All right. That's it. That's it for you. That's it, Jason.
That's it.
All right. Ty, why don't you go next, man?
And the reason I heard they did that, Jason, was because the NFL owners didn't want Belichick to get that. So I think that was the reason. But but my parting shot, I just I know I've been talking about it on our stream, was this weekend after church, me and my daughter and my wife, we had a chance to visit the Holocaust Museum. And I'd done it before, but it's been a while. But I just urge anyone on here, anyone who listens, to take a visit to the Holocaust Museum. Hear the stories of why things happened, how it happened, how methodical it was. It was very impactful just to see my daughter, some of her classmates, just to see the look on their faces when they saw, and I won't get into it because I know that the party is shot, but just the detailed conversations that that they're living in now, coming off of COVID and what they went through then, but just to go there and to hear, what the strategy was in order for that to be carried out. Again, I would love for you guys to go and do it for yourself, because they do a great job at marching you through step by step, the why, the when, the how. And I think you'll see that, I don't mind change and things happening in certain ways, but when you see game plans being played out, I think it'll eerily remind you of something. And so I'll leave it there.
All right. All right. Ray, Quake, you
Oh,
want to go
So
next?
as we approach the final week of NCAA basketball, I had to. We've talked about the evolution of basketball, and there's been some changes down at Carolina, and they hired a new general manager last week in Jim Tanner. I'm curious to see how that plays out for UNC basketball, right? This season has been an up and down season, and now that they're on 6-game win streak, they're averaging about 91 points a game. I'm curious to see how the NCAA selection committee looks at them at the end of this run after they play Duke on Saturday. So I'm hoping they get in. I know they keep talking about all these quad 1 wins and what they don't have, but it's a much different team than we saw at the beginning of the season.
It's called NIT.
No.
You like to say that being from Michigan, don't you?
CBS has
Time out, Ty.
They love blue bloods. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that thing plays out, man.
If they don't beat Duke, it's unless CBS can pull the strings, they're probably not.
Well, I think it's two things, right? I do think they have to put up a
fight,
competitive game against Duke. I won't necessarily say they have to beat them. If they beat them, yeah, that's great. But with the SEC and the way they're playing basketball this year and the way that conference looks, it's stiff. It's real stiff, man.
Joe Lunardi has Nebraska and Ohio State in at 17 and 13. That makes
and you don't put Carolina in?
Exactly.
Okay, you got 15 seconds, Quake. You got 15 seconds.
Nah, we'll see. That's my take.
All right, excellent.
All right, I'll see some time later. This won't be long, but I think about growing up and outside of traditional going in the woods and hunting rabbits and squirrels and deer. But the mentality has always kind of been kill none, let none die. Which shamelessly jacked from my Mobb Deep song, I think. But the mentality is don't start no shit, but defend your own and don't take none from anyone else. And as a mantra of life, it's kind of served me well. And it kind of translates, and I started thinking about how it translates to do no harm, and which is kind of supposedly built into the physician's creed, but not necessarily word for word. But it's basically, in your path of doing right, make sure you don't do any harm along the way. And then I started to think about how that applies to the current state of where we are as a country. And are we in a situation where we're doing no harm? Are we in a situation where we're kill none, let none die? And it just feels like some of the actions, some of the steps that are being taken don't necessarily align to the United States being a beacon of democracy. And so as I look at the approach of, are we doing the things to protect others who can't protect themselves, and while at the same time not letting one step on our toes? It's be something interesting to watch as the next couple of years go through and see where we stand at the end of the period where we have taken steps versus the rest of the world.
All right, good deal. Rich.
Well, Ty's got me a little self-conscious about reading my stuff. So I'm going to just say, if those who remember last week's comment, I'll say this. Nobody made any efforts to tell what Loretta Fuddy and Tafari Campbell had in common. So until someone makes a comment in the comment section about what they think that is, I will hold off on the nugget that I had planned for tonight. All right. So that's it.
Okay, kid.
In 1995, I went to my first National Black NBA conference, right? And boy, had an absolute blast. And somewhere along the line, I connected with many friends. Hump, you know this to be true. You and I, we went almost every year, probably for about 15 years, until we started looking like the old men in the club with all the young folks. Well, part of the experience at the National Black NBA Conference, there was always two parties that you had to go to. One of them was a Diageo party, and the other one was a Target party, right? And so you did not go to any of those events without checking out those two parties because they were mainstay sponsors. In addition to the National Black NBA, there was the National Association of Black Accountants, right? There was also, and Hump, you know this one well too, the Executive Leadership Council, ELC. And at those two events, just like National Black NBA, the biggest parties, one of the biggest sponsors was Target, right? And since that time, Target's done quite a bit of stuff, including having aisles in their stores dedicated to people that look like me. And so I've watched Target play in the space of DEI since the mid-90s, right? And so I get why so many of us pull back and are on this 40-day fast from Target because of what they had to do. But I understand the time they're in, the pressure they're under, and I still believe in that company that I saw investing in me and my people for the last 30 years. And I, as such, will not be participating in the 40-day fast for Target. I think what we have to understand is they're doing what they need to do to get through the times we're in, and we need to hold them accountable over the long term for what they can do and not for staying out of trouble today, given the environment we're in.
Excellent. Well, I didn't really have a parting shot. Last couple of weeks, I haven't really thought about anything up front, just with stuff going on. But when I think about it, I guess my viewpoint or my thing I would like people to do this week is just go out and do it. Just go out and do it. In terms of some things I want to do in my life, I just decided I was going to do them. And this podcast is one of those things. Someone asked about this week. I actually had somebody call me and say, "Hey, that was great. You guys did a great job." But the reason that this started was I knew that it wouldn't start unless I got up and just did it. And just said, "Hey, guys, we're going to get together. We're going to do this." It came out of the blue. Ty is the one that came up with the name of it. Kid is the inspiration. You know, I knew him and Rich would be a great nemesis on the show. And I've gotten a lot of really great comments, but it's just do it. So this week I haven't raced my motorcycle in months. I'm just going to go race. I'm just going to go do it. So just go do it and enjoy it. Who knows what'll come from it? Who knows what'll come from this podcast? You know, there'll be ups and downs, but it's been a great journey so far. I think that some people have gotten have looked at things a little bit differently based on some stuff they've gotten from this podcast. I think the members of the panel have gotten things from this that they may not have gotten beforehand. I also want to thank Jason for joining. He saw an episode and was, said, "Hey, I want to, maybe put my 2 cents in." So just go out and do it. Whatever it is that you want to do going forward, who knows what'll happen? It may work out, it may not, but at least you can say that you tried.
One caveat: you be careful out there.
Hey man,
hey, look, gentlemen,
it is what it is.
I
man.
said let's go skiing, and Paul starts talking about skiing as being dangerous, and I'm like, bro, you riding through the woods on a motorbike at 50, 60 miles, 70 miles an hour.
Hey, look. Motorcycles have brakes. Skis do not. All right.
Yeah, but
Look,
Rich is right. Be careful on that dirty bike. Dirty bike,
Stop looking, listen.
what's that?
Enjoy the vibe.
motocrossing and dirty. What's this stuff called? I don't know what it's called. Be careful.
Or take a sip.
Hey, kid, I'm going to take you to a race soon. I'm gonna take you to a race soon,
Hey,
just so I can say, just so I can
Hey,
say that I got a kid Barrett at a
I'm
race.
from your hood.
Absolutely.
I got
I'll do it for you, Pete.
and feeling good.
Hey, there's one right down the street at Buzz Creek in Maryland. Thank you.
Hey, we already over our time talking about that.
Open your mind, open your heart. Dialogue.
Look, fellas, I want to thank everybody for joining, being so welcoming to Jason. Jason, thanks for joining, giving your
Thank you, Jason.
your
Thanks for
your
being
input.
on.
And hey, here's to another episode down. This is gonna be a tough one to edit. I might just drop it out there. Just let it ride. Let's see. But look, man,
right.
everybody have a great week. Have a great weekend, man.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Good night, T. Good night, T.
See you.